Prince, the icon who rewrote pop's rules, showed that artistry could be fearless and flamboyant. Quincy Jones, the Grammy-winning maestro, turned studio walls into launch pads for legends. Betty White, television's beloved pioneer, proved that humor and kindness can outlive any era. Tina Turner, the rock and roll survivor, turned pain into power on stages worldwide. Suzanne Summers, the sitcom star turned wellness advocate, reminded us that reinvention never ages. Kirstie Alley, the fearless actress, showed that raw talent can break Hollywood's polished veneer. Why does Samuel L. Jackson still dominate every conversation about modern cinema? The answer lies not in a single blockbuster, but in a series of relentless choices that turned a Brooklyn kid with a restless spirit into a cultural touchstone. Born in Washington, D.C. in 1948 and raised in the gritty neighborhoods of Queens, Jackson learned early that language could be a weapon. He discovered the power of speech on the school stage, where a trembling teenager discovered the thrill of commanding an audience. That spark survived military service, a stint in the United States Air Force that taught discipline, but also reinforced his yearning for something beyond the ordinary. Returning to civilian life, Jackson enrolled at Morehouse College, a historically black institution that sharpened his intellectual curiosity. He majored in theater, immersing himself in the works of Shakespeare and black playwrights alike. Yet the road to the screen was anything but smooth. He took odd jobs: bouncer, parking attendant, even a short-lived stint as a mail carrier, while auditioning for roles that rarely went beyond stereotypical sidekicks. The turning point arrived in the early 1980s, when a young filmmaker named Spike Lee recognized Jackson's raw intensity. Their first collaboration, the 1988 drama School Days, planted a seed, but it was the unapologetically confrontational Do the Right Thing, 1989, that forced audiences to confront racial tension head-on. Jackson's role as the embattled radio host Gator was a study in controlled fury, and the film's explosive climax cemented his reputation as an actor unafraid to inhabit volatile characters. Yet fame, as it often does, arrived with a paradox. In 1994, Quentin Tarantino handed Jackson a script that would rewrite cinematic dialogue forever. Jules Winnfield, in Pulp Fiction, was a preacher-like hitman, his Bible-quoting monologues punctuated by a signature profanity that became a cultural meme. The scene where he recites Ezekiel before pulling the trigger turned a simple gunfight into a philosophical showdown. The role earned Jackson an Academy Award nomination and proved that a black actor could dominate a film without being defined by his race. From there, the momentum became an unstoppable cascade. The 1990s saw Jackson stepping into genres that traditionally excluded black leads. He played a charismatic outlaw in The Long Kiss Goodnight, a cynical detective in Jackie Brown, and an indomitable colonel in the sci-fi epic Star Wars Episode I, The Phantom Menace, 1999. Each performance expanded the map of what was possible for black actors, shattering the notion that they were limited to supporting roles. But Jackson's legacy is not built on screen alone. Off-camera, he leveraged his platform to demand better representation. In 1994, he co-founded the Miramax Partnership to help finance independent films that foregrounded black voices. He became a vocal advocate for the 1992 Los Angeles riots victims, speaking at rallies and using his distinctive voice to call out systemic injustice. His public persona, often punctuated by an infectious laugh and a willingness to curse at the absurdities of Hollywood, humanized the industry's most intimidating figure. The 2000s introduced a new chapter. Jackson as Nick Fury, the strategic mastermind behind the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The casting was controversial. Some questioned whether a black actor could embody the role traditionally envisioned as a white, military-type figure. Jackson's performance redefined the archetype, turning Fury into a symbol of inclusive leadership. He became the first black actor to headline a franchise that generated billions, proving that box office power no longer required a white face. Even as Fury's world expanded, Jackson refused to rest on his laurels. He returned to theater, starring in August Wilson's The Piano Lesson on Broadway, where his narration of familial trauma resonated with audiences familiar with his cinematic intensity. He launched a podcast, The Samuel L. Jackson Show, where he interviews fellow actors, directors, and activists, turning conversation into a platform for mentorship. Each episode reveals a man who still believes in the transformative power of storytelling. His recent work reflects a man who balances legacy with reinvention. In The Last Jedi, 2017, and Avengers Endgame, 2019, he transitioned from a commanding general to a mentor figure, subtly acknowledging his own aging while still commanding respect. Meanwhile, his involvement in documentaries about civil rights, such as The Black Panthers, Vanguard of the Revolution, underscores a commitment to historical truth. What sets Samuel L. Jackson apart is not merely the volume of his credits, over 150 films, but the consistency of his presence in moments that shift cultural conversations. He is the actor who can deliver a line that becomes an internet catchphrase, yet also the one who will stand on a protest march with a megaphone, demanding equity. He embodies a paradox, a larger-than-life persona who remains grounded enough to admit his own flaws, from his well-documented battles with substance abuse to his candid reflections on fame's emptiness. Today, at the age of 75, Jackson continues to act, produce, and speak. He appears in upcoming streaming series that explore futuristic narratives, mentors young black talent through scholarships, and remains a regular presence at film festivals, where he still delivers his trademark, profanity-laden humor with a grin. His voice, deep, resonant, and unmistakably his, still echoes through cinema halls, podcasts, and activist rallies alike. The question of why Samuel L. Jackson matters is answered each time a new generation discovers his films, each time a director cites his fearless commitment as a blueprint, and each time he steps onto a stage and reminds the world that talent, when coupled with relentless advocacy, can rewrite the rules of an industry that once tried to box him in. His legacy is not a static monument. It is a living conversation, one that continues to expand as long as stories need a bold, unapologetic voice. In a world where Hollywood often recycles faces, Jackson remains a reminder that longevity is earned through daring choices, relentless work ethic, and an unshakable belief that the story of a black man can be as complex, as powerful, and as enduring as any mythic hero. So the next time a trailer flashes his name or a young actor quotes his iconic lines, remember, Samuel L. Jackson is not just a legend of the past. He is a catalyst for the future, still shaping the narrative of cinema, culture, and activism. One unforgettable performance at a time.